So what I've done here, we're going to go through SSM as a sales guy. So I'm using Barry's login, so that way the screen, you're seeing what an outside guy. Typically, pretty much an inside guy is going to see, I think, pretty much the same thing. But as we open it up, and I know some of you guys have been using this already, so it may be kind of redundant, but I don't know where everybody is, so I'll just start from the beginning, I guess. Mary, unless you have something specific, you want me to skip all the beginner stuff and go straight to something specific, I can do that too, but I'm not sure.
You got everybody on different levels, so you probably just do the whole thing.
Okay. All right, so when you first log into it, and by the way, always the URL that we send it out several times. Make sure you don't save a page, like go to open orders and then save that URL. You have to go through that initial login screen. So if you skip it and try to go to a particular page that you like and skip the login part, you may get that DSP error or some kind of error, so always go to the same URL and log in every time, because you have to do that so it knows who you are and what views you see and all that. So when you come in, you've got at the top, you've got, of course, the date. That's the as of date. And if you want to see, previous time period, if you want to see what you did in 2018, of course, you back up, just change the date to 2018, and then you got to hit this little button right here to refresh it. So when I do that, I should see. So there's Barry's stuff year to date of 2018, and all the data you see now on the screen will be of 2018 for all 2018 year to date, that type of stuff. So to go back, of course, you can go to today, hit the refresh, and you're back. And okay, then you've got this part here, the region. So the way I have to set everybody up, I have to give you a region. I can't give somebody just a branch. So I found out what region you're in. So in this case, everybody's in Mary, so you get her region, and then that's the roll up of everything in her region, and below that you've got the individual branches that roll up to her district. So that's the way that works. So of course, if you want to see Decatur, you change it and you go to Decatur. So those numbers are now reflecting that. All right. So as we come down the screen, we've got on the left-hand side, of course, this is we'll get to that, down here, your activities and opportunities. So if you've got this is just kind of a little dashboard to show you things you might need to look at. And as I have explained to everybody when I do this training, the cleaner you can get your stuff, get all the junk out of there, get all the orders that's been out there 2 years, it's just hanging, and and a lot of times, and I'm sure in Mary's district that's not going to be the case. Everything's going to be clean, but I go to some places and I'll see stuff that's orders had inventory tied up for 2 years, just sitting out there. Obviously, it's not going to ship. Just get all the junk out and have all your orders current, and then this stuff on the side and all this stuff will make a lot more sense. It'll be more valuable to you. So as you click it, like here I see one overdue opportunity, and all these work the same. So if I click that, it's going to show me, what overdue opportunities are. So if I click that, I'll go to the opportunity, upcoming opportunities, and looking ahead. So this is kind of more so for the sales guys to say, okay, how many customers, what customers out there have not placed an order in 90 days? So if I click that, these are all the 20 customers that haven't placed an order in 90 days. And then if I want to go see, dig into that and see what's going on, if I click it, it will take you to, as you can see, now we're on Alabama Electric Motor, where all this screen pertains to this one customer. So now if you want to dig into that and see kind of what's going on, of course, there's probably maybe no open orders. There could be, but probably in this case, you might want to say, all right, what's their buying history? What have they bought in the past? So if I click that, wow, looks like not a whole lot.
Tom, let's move on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that would be how you dig into that. But if we hit one that has bought stuff in the past, then you can see that. We can look at that on other stuff later. Then let's see. Let's close that back up. And of course, all this is pretty self-explanatory. If you got, this customer is 80% of their credit limit, so they, it might be something you want to dig into as far as AR. If you go to that customer, there is an AR screen where you can kind of find out what's going on. Then you come down to orders. So this is where outside or inside or manager would look and say, okay, and you guys look pretty good compared to anybody else I've seen, but how many orders do I have out there with committed inventory longer than 90 days? That's tying up your inventory, cash flow that's not happening. So you don't have any there. Let's see, 4 orders that have been open longer than 30 days. So this is the 4 customers that make that up. So let's say if I want to click that, again, it doesn't take you directly to the order. So once you get to this Polaris screen, then I would want to come over here and say, let me see my open orders. And then it's going to it'll come up as yesterday, which you could, change that to all or alerts, or if we do all, then you have to hit this little circle thing to refresh the screen. Now I'm on the Polaris screen, I hit alerts, and I see here's the one, see over at the far right. So that little thing, that little, dashboard is saying this order, the one order is open longer than 30 days. So that's how that works. It lets you know there's a problem or something, and you have to kind of dig in a little bit to figure out which one it is. So that's the one order. And I'll mention this while I'm here, this trouble. This is in with Sonopar to get fixed. It's not currently working right now unless they fixed it. Let's see, required date. Yes. So see, this says 17 days in trouble, but it's got a required date of 3/1. It's got so that doesn't correspond really to anything. So the trouble date is supposed to say how many days past the required date is my order. So that's in the works to be fixed. So that we've got a list of stuff to be fixed. So just bring that up if you notice that. All right, so that's this side thing. So let's go back to home. All right, so now we're back on this initial screen where I'm looking at Barry, and I'll mention this is one that a lot of people doesn't know about. Is this, see this little checkbox here with this use salesperson on order? And I don't know how it'll do on Barry because his accounts probably hasn't changed that much. But if you'll notice, this right here, there's his sales. This is year to date as of this year. If I click that, let's see if it changes. Yeah, so you see it changed just a little bit. So the difference in this is if it's unchecked, this is all the stuff where Barry's assigned the account. So it's his accounts that he's assigned to. If I check this is showing you only the orders that B.A. Martin is on. So this is really big if you had a lot of account changes and you've been assigned 10 new accounts, and you're going to go in there and look and say, wow, look at all these sales and margins, but that's not really true. You've got to uncheck or you got to check the box and say, let me see the ones just with that I'm on, the orders I'm on, and you'll see that drastically change. So I'll keep that in mind, because a lot of people get tangled up on that one if there's been account changes. Okay, as we come down, we'll get goals loaded eventually. That's still coming, but the branch goals will be loaded, and I think this year we're going to load the salesman goals, so there's more to come on that. Of course, you can change just the month to date if you want to. It's pretty obvious. Something I will bring up that it always comes up when I have this training with sales guys is trying to figure out the margin. When you're trying to figure out what your paycheck's going to be, SSM is not the place to do that. We've got it closer. If you go back and look at the intranet, especially if you go to that one screen where it shows, salesman analysis, then you go down to you pick yourself as a salesman, and it shows by period, January, February, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you look at that margin, that was in the past. If you looked at it, it was pretty not far out of whack, but it was not exactly right, because that particular screen used landed average cost, which is not what you guys always get paid on. You guys get paid on comm cost or commission cost, which can be rep cost or it can be landed average, depending on the price line. So we fixed that, and I think now a particular screen now is going to be more accurate and more close to what you see in SSM. Now, another thing to keep in mind is SSM is real time. So you can look at it now and you try to compare it to the intranet. The intranet is always yesterday. It's not live today. SSM will change by the minute. If somebody puts an order in or does a credit, your margins can change instantly. So you really can't compare the SSM to intranet, especially in the same month. There's going to be all kind of variations going on with that. If you go back and look at a closed month, you'll find that it's dead on the money. So just keep that in mind when you start comparing numbers, because that seems like that's always a big issue whenever I do this stuff. Is they don't match, and our goal is, of course, to make the intranet eventually go away, and we'll move everybody to SSM because it's easier to maintain and it's live and hooked to Eclipse rather than just a batch thing they do outside of Eclipse. But as we kill those reports on the intranet, you'll see they'll reference you to something in SSM. There's a few reports that we've had to keep or turn back on, like when it comes to past. If you want to look at like invoices, the stuff that's already been billed, that's not really in SSM like that. So if you do, you can go back and look. I think it's called something by period, like customer.
It's customer by period, I think, Tom.
Yeah, by period and by customer. Or I don't know. There's two that we had to turn back on. So we may eventually get those in SSM 2. And we're still working on that, so we're having to leave some stuff. But anyway, you'll see things go away as we migrate over. Let's see and the only other thing I want to mention about the intranet is, I have found a lot of people don't know about this, but the pre-commission report is where you want to go look on the intranet, and it's still out there. If you want to get an idea of what your paycheck's going to be, that would be the report to look at, to get the most accurate look, because it takes in some other stuff into account, that SSM don't, So, all right, and I'll just mention this stuff right here. I mean, I know not a lot of people care that much about the e-commerce. You can turn these off and on, and this little chart will change. If you want to see what you're doing in different categories, and most all the bar graphs on here, if you hover your little mouse over it, it'll tell you what data makes it up behind it. You got opportunities, activities. I mean, I think all know it, but opportunities is typically your big stuff, this is the way it's kind of designed. Now you can use it however you want to use it. Opportunities will be more like we're going to win the storeroom from this customer, and then in order to do that, here's all the activities. So the specialist or somebody's got to do a crib crawl, or somebody's got to quote some stuff or whatever. So it's activities, but activities could also be lunch and learns or something like that have nothing to do with the opportunity. So that's kind of the break on those. Now, I don't know. Let's see if you guys use activities. Some people don't. I don't see any activities. Do you not use them, Barry?
I don't. I used them for a while, Tommy, and I decided that most of my activities were part of my opportunities.
Yeah.
So I just put the notes under opportunities.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of people do. So whatever you want to do, however you want to use it, as far as that goes. On opportunities, make sure you don't ever add the opportunity from here. If you click that, then you got to go out and search for the customer. Like here, if you may get the wrong customer. That's the problem with doing it from here. Always go to the customer first, click it, and then add an opportunity from there. And of course, you got your filters, where you won, lost, all that kind of stuff. And as you know, opportunities are you can't delete an opportunity. You just make it inactive. So if you ever need to go back and pull up one that you made inactive to see notes or whatever, you just click this little button here, refresh it, and you can see it again. Like I said, there's all kind of drop downs and filters. And this Excel, and this is on a lot of screens. If you click the Excel, you'll see it pop up down here on the left, and it'll download that table, open it up Excel, and do whatever you want to do with it. So of course you got notes, you've got the potential. This is all pretty self-explanatory. We cut these down a lot, the opportunity types, so there's less of them. We can add to if we need to, but we don't want to get too many. Contacts. You guys may know this, but this contact screen here is tied directly to Eclipse. So if I do an edit contact like this, and I do any changes here, it updates Eclipse, and vice versa. If you update something to Eclipse, it updates it here. Some people say that if you want to add a contact instead of going to Eclipse and going through the Eclipse process, you can just go here and hit new contact, add the contact, and it's the same as adding it in Eclipse.
Tommy, is there a way to delete a contact?
I don't know if you can from here.
I've tried to go in and delete it before, and it would not let me delete any. When somebody left, I had to actually replace them with somebody else.
I'm guessing did you try to do it in Eclipse? I
did not, Tom.
You can do it in Eclipse, or you may not. If you can't, then it's probably a permission thing where you'd have to get someone like Mary or somebody to delete it for you.
Okay.
I don't know how you're set up, but I bet you that if you can't delete it there either, that's probably what the problem is.
Okay.
You probably know this, but as you add suppliers down here, say if I go in and say, Busman, $10,000, whatever, T&B, some amount of dollars, and I add these suppliers down here, and I put a dollar amount in for each one. If I hit this hotkey here, roll up to header, whatever I put down there will roll up to this number. So you can put in individual suppliers or activities or whatever, hit roll up to header, and it'll keep accumulating right here. We're also, I'll mention this too, in our list of enhancements we've asked for, we've got an email notification to go out to whoever you put here. So if you put assign to inside salesman, and you put the inside salesman or whatever, when you save it, we want an email to go to that person. So instead of them having to just go look, or you tell them, the customers. Now, to me, when you get into this is probably one of the better things as far as an outside sales guy. You bring up your customers. These are all your customers. You've got some drop downs here. It comes up by default on the bill to. You've got also the ship to, which obviously break if you got job accounts or whatever, it'll break out down to the ship to level. Otherwise, it rolls it up to everything's rolled up to the bill to. This one, you've got a lot of filters right here to maybe dig into. Biggest decrease in margins. And basically, these are all just filters. So you can do it this way if you want to, or you can come over here and say all these headers actually sort. You just click the little thing here. So if I say GP dollar variance, I click that. So, and I can click it again. So now I see all the ones I'm losing GP, so far. Then you've got these drop downs, which compares it, 3-year look back. There's a lot of different ways to look at your customers. But say, for example, I want to look at this integrity because it looks like the margin was down. Okay, now I'm on the integrity page. You might want to look at holes, which what this tells you is by product group, what you've been selling them. So, last year sold 56,000 in drives, this year none. So that, you might want to dig into that and see what's going on. You can sort this way. You can just come down there and say, what am I selling and what am I not selling them? And this might be a good one where you go up and change the date to look at last year as opposed to year to date. So you can kind of, get a game plan together on, I'm not selling them fuses or something like that. You might want to go after that business. And then you've got now, buying history. And it comes up defaulted on price line. And again, this shows you by price line, what they've been buying and what they haven't. But there's also one, and the supplier is, we're actually working on this. It's frankly a little bit screwed up, and we're going to kind of reload all suppliers. So a supplier is where you buy the stuff from. So think of it like CUWI is the price line, and then we buy copper wire from multiple suppliers. So we may buy from Southwire or Cero or whatever. So you can look at the supplier and see by supplier what. So you might want to, like if you're going to meet with a vendor, a supplier, you might want to look at just their number to see what you're buying from them instead of just what all copper wire I'm buying. And then when you click into that goes down to the item level. So now you see all the items you sold that supplier. Now you can see and we've got the Allen Bradley broken up by price line, still pointing to the one supplier. And then, but then you get into Busman. These are the actual people you buy from: ProSoft, Thomas and Betts. And we're going to try to get this better. We can only put in about 400 suppliers. You can't put them all. So that makes up most of our business, and that's what you'll see in there. Let's go back to, so that's customers. Then open orders. This is another one that I think people need to kind of focus on. And it comes up, show all orders by yesterday. So, that's just the orders from yesterday. So you might want to say, change it to all. It includes bids. You probably don't want to see that, so you exclude that. Hit refresh. And now we're seeing all the open orders that Barry got out there. You can also change this to, like, say, alerts, if you can narrow it down a little bit more. So now I'm looking at open orders longer than 30 days. I think you can do all right here. And if you click alert details, now I'm looking at alerts. I'm looking at alert details, all. And so down this side over here, I'm seeing all the orders with different things you need to look at. So it's just a way to clue you in on, an inside guy or an outside guy that, why has this been out there for 90 days? And if you want to dig into it, further, you can click that and it'll take you out to the actual sales order, and you can see what's going on there. From here, you can create a job queue in Eclipse to send to somebody, or you can email the order and ask a question, the inside guy or whatever. Edit in Solar Eclipse. At some point when we get that out to people, you'll be able to do that and edit the order. But anyway, this is the kind of stuff I would spend time on, making sure you don't have any old stuff out there. Get all your stuff clean, and then that way your alerts will be more valuable to you. Who bought what? I think. So now, instead of looking at it as by customer, looking at Barry, all his customers, and what they bought. Again, you can look at it by supplier, however you want to look at it. Alerts, I think we talked about that. Sales source, I don't know that y'all. This is how you could see your, direct sales, stock sales, how it's broken out, whether it's, through e-commerce or whatever. Probably not going to look at that too much. And then pricing. I'll touch on this a little bit. This one takes a little bit of time to load sometimes. So we're looking at all Barry's customers, and this chart is showing you all these commodity types for all these types of customers, and it's showing you your this GP percentage, which Barry's trucking along here pretty good at whatever that is, 28% or so. This dark line is your manual overrides, which are going down. You got overrides that come from contracts or customer specific, or your manual overrides. And you can turn these off up here if you want to look at one particular customer type, and you can change the dates to look at different time periods. And then as you roll down, and I'm not going to get too much in the weeds on this, but because I'm not the expert on pricing, and it takes a long time to load, but you can keep drilling down into this stuff deeper and deeper. You keep hitting these little arrows up the side, and it keeps going down all the way to the item level. This is the summary view. You can get invoice view. Then you can export all the details to Excel spreadsheet. When you click that, see Barry's set up. If you see this server generating, he'll get emailed this report. Some people I've run across, it'll say results to NA. If you see that, let me know, because we need to set up your email in the system so you'll get it. Then you come down to customer analysis. See, it's still loading stuff.
So technically, Tommy, they could go to by product, look at the overrides, export that to Excel, and use that as a sheet to get with Jennifer Hedgefast.
Yeah.
Pricing.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. You just keep drilling down further and further and further. The further I go, of course, the longer it's going to take to keep loading stuff. But eventually, and what's good about it is this lets you zero in on just the areas that are causing most of your overrides whenever this finally comes up. We're looking at your customers, top overridden customers, by line count. So I changed it to show how many lines are overridden. So your biggest overrides, are the ones that's costing most of your overrides, is Premier. And then if you click that, I think it takes you out further. Yeah, so now we're just looking at Premier. So it's kind of the same information zeroed in on just Premier. So now you can start zeroing in on that one customer. Yeah.
Does it say all directs are still overrides? Is it figuring it that way?
I don't think so. Yeah, see right here? You can include them, but they're excluded by default.
Okay, thank you.
And non-stocks are included. You can change that to exclude. Projects are excluded. But yeah, you can change all this stuff up here to zero in. You could turn off contract, all that, get down just the manual. Now we're here, and you could come down here to, the employee will tell you the rider that's causing most of your overrides, top overridden writer, and it's showing Edmund. Looks like Edmund's the only one on there. If you click that, again, it'll keep drilling down. You can drill in on just Edmund down to the actual product. So you can keep going to products. So I think once you get what you want, then you have to come back up there to export Excel details, and that's where you start finding out the actual products. I thought it gave you something here, but maybe you got to export it to get to that. But anyway, it helps you drill in and figure out and just spend the time where we get more bang for your buck. You can find out where most of your overrides are coming from, and like Mary said, dump it out. And once you get this, it takes a little bit to get this, but it's a pretty detailed sheet that you can then work with. And then, like you said, you send it to Jennifer, and she can upload it for you. So that's pricing. TCO opportunities. I know some places do, some places don't. I think y'all still have to do some of those, right? I have been told, and I'm working on this, that, basically the TCO thing is same deal. You'd want to do it on the customer. But when I go out to TCO, well, let's go back here. Let's see if we click that. Yeah, so, this is, I think, a pretty slick way to capture all your TCOs yet. You've got a report. So you put in all the information, how much money you saved them, all this stuff. And then, of course, you go to this print detail report. And this is supposed to give you the acceptable form that the national contract, like Supply Force or whoever, will accept. But anyway, you load it, and then you can print it out and give it to the integrated supplier. This, one source still comes up, and I'm trying to get that changed to the Irby logo, because we might want to do cost savings, not just for an integrated supplier, but it's probably not a bad idea for some customers to collect that for Irby. Say this is what Irby did for you. If you come into quote a deal or something down the road, you can produce, say, look, this is all the money we saved you. This is all what we've done for you over the years, and it's a way to collect it and maybe set you apart from another competitor, that has not documented it. So I think it's worth doing in some cases. All right. Well, that's pretty much hitting all the high points. We can open it up for questions.
We had a question with our specialist.
Yeah, so what we did on the specialist, because we tried different versions of this, we give them the ops view. That allowed them to see everybody's stuff, as opposed to a sales guy, and then they only narrow it down to their stuff. So,
because my month-end reports, I then pull up, run a date range, and upload it to Excel. And I was missing, I'm going into my side of the world, I was missing my specialists. And I would have to see their opportunities, I have to go into each product group, which is a pain in the rear.
So you were trying to upload or save all these opportunities from here out to a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
And you weren't getting them all?
For instance, let's just say Tim Coker, right?
Uh-huh.
If I upload from here, I don't see just, like if I choose Tim Coker, I can't see just Tim Coker, right? See everybody in the universe. So what I'm going to see to review with him on what his opportunities are, I have to download, sort, go through, figure out. It's hard to review with each individual person their opportunities.
So you're talking about from your view, and you go to the specialist, right?
Yeah.
So that would be, that would be like, I don't think there's a way to do that. I think you're stuck with.
As long as I understand that, because I thought I was doing something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't I see Tim? Okay, I'm with you. I can sort with the best of them.
Yep. You're a spreadsheet wizard.
Yeah.
What else? Anything else?
When you're on, like Barry's homepage, can he not see? Does his homepage go straight to sales? He doesn't see like a mine where I can go to the numbers for the branch?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, he's all right. He's just
Yeah.